Good to see you. Let me ask you this, and we've been asking different strategies and analysts this question, and you're the one to have some unique insight here. So 2023, Magnificent Seven, it was the place to be. I think if you moved in those names 12 months ago, you're feeling pretty good and pretty smart. Do you think you stick with your winners? Do you stick with the Magnificent Seven in 2024?
Yeah, great question, and thank you for having me. It's good to see you again. So, with the backdrop that today was an interesting day on the market. I think that while tech indices have done quite well, returns have been very concentrated and concentrated particularly in those AI winners and mega cap stocks. And our thesis is that going into 2024 and 2025, we're really going to start to see a broadening of that rally. We started to see a little bit of that in Q4 and in December, and I think that continues in 24 and 25. And the rationale behind that, the thesis is that outside of AI and those large cap winners, you've really seen the economy and tech in particular kind of go through a series of rolling recessions over the last 18 months. You can see it in the tech layoff data. You can see it in the companies that have been really impacted by optimization or budget tightening. And our thesis is that now we're starting to emerge from that and come out on the other side. Budget growth, IT budget growth looks fairly solid. We're hearing that there's a little bit of a kind of return to normal in spending. So our focus is really on broadening the opportunity set, looking at areas that may be underappreciated, cyclical hardware, opportunities in areas of software that have been disproportionately impacted by that year of efficiency. So consumption and seat-based license models, for example. And we're always watching for risks, of course, but pretty optimistic right now on those areas and that broadening of that rally.
So how do you find, Dave, the right stocks in that broadening? Do you just buy tech generally, right? Or are you looking for specific criteria here within technology that's going to benefit from AI?
Yeah, so it's a really great question. And, there are, on AI in general, what we've seen so far, first of all, we really believe that this is a game-changing technology. We think it's, the pace of innovation here is just so remarkable. And what we've seen so far is really a lot of, on the consumer side, we've seen a lot of potential and a lot of really interesting things that are going on. And then on the enterprise side, you've seen a lot of kind of early stage efforts here. Returns thus far have been really concentrated in the infrastructure layer and the core tech layer. As we start to look out in 2024, we believe that it's going to be the year that the application layer starts to emerge. And in particular, you're going to start to see that in the second half of 2024. So I think what you're going to want to be looking for within that area is what companies are really being innovative here, starting to get uptick with their products that are seeing product market fit, seeing early signs of traction. So you're going to want to be looking for really early signs there, because we firmly believe that there are billion-dollar ideas and billion-dollar companies that are sitting on whiteboards right now. So really amazing time to be an investor. And I think 2024 is going to be really interesting as we start to see some of these enterprise applications start to emerge.
And Dave, when you talk about AI, listen, you clearly, you're excited about the technology, game-changing, as you said, and a lot of investors agree with you. I'm just wondering, Dave, what you made of that headline that dropped, the New York Times suing OpenAI and Microsoft for infringing copyrighted works. Is that a risk, Dave, that maybe investors in AI-focused companies need to think about?
Yeah, and it's a challenging one because I'm not a lawyer and I don't pretend to understand all the really subtle nuances and all these cases. I think it's important to remember that this is a rapidly emerging technology and there's still a great deal to be discovered in terms of regulation, copyright infringement, as well as how our habits and daily interactions will change and evolve with areas like information discovery and search. But at the same time, I and yourself, we produce content as well. And so I understand that perspective. I think net, I think we should take a step back and think about this as, this tech offers really a step change in productivity and value creation. And so the pie is getting larger, if you will. It's important, we need to be sure that the ones that create value are that pie gets distributed. But I think we're all in the learning process here, and we're figuring out what this new model of economics is going to look like.
And Dave, there's a fun question we've been asking folks, which is sort of what's a New Year's resolution that investors should make for 2024?
Oh, that's a great question. New Year's resolution for investors, fascinating. So, I think it is important. It's been really easy in the past couple of years to kind of stick with the large cap names, names that have done really well, and names that are really easy to like. I think it's going to be increasingly important to kind of seek out those undiscovered names and really do the hard work on names that have been disproportionately impacted over the last year. So that could be both, cyclical hardware companies that we discussed, but also growth software companies that may have been, really impacted by that year of efficiency and have kind of had a wet blanket on growth for the past year or so. So I think New Year's resolution is going to be, do the work on those undiscovered companies and come up with some really unique ideas.